This is DevOps in Agile Way podcast.
Hello again. So, after two great episodes where I had the really great honor to talk with Luca Mezzarilla about different things, please go to the playlist and find those episodes and listen to them. I want to come back for one episode to Colms because this is something what I didn't close. I mentioned this a couple of times. What I want to share today with you. But honestly speaking, I'm not sure if I emphasize this strongly enough. I know that I emphasize it, but I want to emphasize it much, much more, stronger. What I see, what I observe, what I don't like really, that we flatten DevOps to tools only. And this is very, very, very common strategy which I observe. And this is the worst possible scenario. Because when we take columns into the table, we split it into the elements, culture, automation, lean, measurements, sharing. What part will be the easiest one? Automation, which means tools, really. Behind automation, there are much more elements than just the tools. So tools are even not mentioned, honestly speaking, they are even not mentioned in the pillars of DevOps. They are like a building block for one of the pillars. Please take a moment and try to think about this in this way, okay? The tools are the easiest way. We can learn how to use tools, but it doesn't mean that we do DevOps by using tools. I see a little bit growing awareness of this, right? So for example, in LinkedIn, we had very nice message from Mark Hornbeck. He said that, again, the latest state of DevOps emphasized the primary importance of the culture over processes and tools. What is sad a little bit, there is not much of discussion under this post. Generally, we have two comments, and one of those comments is mine. The problem is that we really underestimate everything as than tools. And if we look what's going on, I mentioned LinkedIn, so let's stay in this space. We have a lot of posts about how to use tools, what are the tools for DevOps, what are the tools for cloud, why cloud, and blah, 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 blah. Many, many aspects, tutorials, cheat sheets, even some documents, how to pass the interview to be a DevOps engineer in the company. And all of them are about the tools. Why? One of the reasons is exactly what I said, because this is the easiest part. Much more people can talk about easy things than about the complicated things. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's the truth. And believe me, if we talk about DevOps and these cheat sheets for interviews, etc., 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 first of all, you will not pass my interview with just this cheat sheet. And I've done a lot of interviews for DevOps. And second, this will bring you into another silo. And what is DevOps about? Breaking the silos. So this is a completely different story. About this state of DevOps, published by Dora and Google Cloud. I will do the episode about this very soon, I think. But I just want to comment a few elements here, and those elements are, in my opinion, very important. First of all, kind of not connected with this episode, but significant, I would say, is that what surprised me a little bit, not that much, but a little bit, is that AI itself doesn't have that much effect on the performance, on the organization, etc., etc., etc. And that is funny because we can see on all social media, etc., etc., a lot of posts where people say that this set of AI tools will increase your capabilities, performance, everything. In fact, it doesn't work this way. And that's good, really. Second, and now I'm coming back to the topic, I need to find the proper page of the report. The report is quite huge. It is very good reading. They said that this is the title of the section, that documentation is foundational. If you look on the teams, if you look on developers and all people in IT around you, the majority of them doesn't like documentation. And the majority of us doesn't like the documentation we use. Okay? Recently I did some research on different tools and they had really, really poor documentation. And this documentation is, of course, like an operational documentation. And there is another documentation. This is documentation for changes done in the application, right? So every single change should be documented. And this is still a big problem in this industry. What is sad, really? Okay, and the final part which I want to cover here about this report at this point is that the finding of the team behind this report, they said that 30% of teams with generative culture have higher organizational performance than without. What leads us again to the culture, okay? That's enough for the report itself at this point. But what we need to understand really is that if you introduce tools in your organization, in your team, whatever, and this will be the best tool ever made by humankind, but you still have shitty culture, bad approach to things, organized work, and I'm sorry, you work without any process. Processes are important as well. It will be not big change, okay? If you will introduce and work on the proper culture, proper approach, proper processes, proper behavior, proper team composition, proper team collaboration, proper collaboration inside your organization, you will see, and this will be a surprise for you, that the tool you used before is not that bad at all. The point is not in the tool, but in the way how you work with tool. And this come into the culture, approaches, etc., etc. And DevOps is mainly about that. Honestly speaking, the tools are part of the engineering work. That's fine. As a sysadmin, I used to work with operating systems. As a developer, I work with programming languages. As a DBA, database administrator, I work with databases. As a network engineer, I work with network. As a cloud engineer, I work with clouds. I don't need to be called DevOps because DevOps is much more than just this. That's why I always said that there is nothing like DevOps engineer, because DevOps is not the engineering per se. Okay, DevOps is more about the organization, about the culture, about the collaboration, communication, etc., etc., etc. And of course, we can say that DevOps was invented as a something what should like destroy the wall between dev and ops and build the bridge and make the collaboration better. It started probably with the tools, yes, because again, as I said on the beginning, this is the easiest way. But the truth is, if we stay only with that, we will have another silo between dev and ops. And this is what we want to avoid. That's why DevOps is much more than just simple, if you get it right, simple engineering. Therefore, we need to remember that culture, how we approach to this is crucial. There is a small side story, right, about this. When I did the trainings for HR, mainly for the talent acquisition, and we discussed how to talk with candidates, I heard many times, and I saw this many times also in internet, in different social media, how people react to talent acquisition. You receive an offer. Of course, right now is a little bit worse, but there was a time when we received like 5 or 10 offers per day. Many people didn't respond at all, and sometimes that was the better way than respond with like a annoying tone, with being really harassing. I saw many answers from potential candidates where they were really, really not nice. Let's say it this way. It's a problem for TAs because, no one wants to receive the kind of answer that you are idiot, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And this happens as well. But this shows very low level of culture of these people. And I said to TAs this, I know that it's easy and kind of easy to take this kind of answer to yourself, right? It's about you, but it's not about you. It's about this guy, and treat it as this person failed the first phase of the DevOps interview because his culture is really low or not existing at all. The point here is that and this is not only for DevOps, this is general rule. It is the work of TA to reach to people. Simple like that. I always answer. There are situations where I do not answer, but this is very special case, okay? But generally, if I receive the offer, even if this is very, very far away from my skill set, I respond. Sometimes I try to be funny and ask what I should improve in my profile to not receive this kind of offers because it's completely not in my scope, but always be polite, always be responsive. And this, I know how it sounds. What there is about DevOps. But if you look on this from the proper perspective, it's about the basics. It's about the foundational part of the culture. Be nice, okay, and try to understand second side, because they have the reason why they do things in that way they do. I will have an episode about how I believe DevOps should talk with other teams. This is something what I've done in many of my projects, successfully, I hope, and I believe. So I have a couple of ideas and thoughts about this. But generally, the report which I mentioned through this episode shows that we still miss cultural part. We still miss the proper understanding what DevOps is. We still miss the core functionality, if I may say so, of DevOps. We still focus on the easiest part of it, the tools. It's like having observability by installing Grafana on Kubernetes. It's not an observability. It's Grafana on Kubernetes. If I send some information from my application that the CPU is 80%, it's not the observability. In the same way, if I have in my chain Jenkins, Linux, Cloud, CI/CD, containers, and Grafana on Kubernetes, it's not DevOps. And with that bombshell, I'm leaving you, and we'll see what will come in the next episode. Thank you very much. Have a good time. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of DevOps and Agile Way podcast with your host, Pavel Pivosh. Subscribe, comment, and do not forget to check our next episodes. Stay tuned. Stay safe. Stay curious.